What if I told you that the body is literally rusting from the inside out when it is stuck in trauma patterns? This mini episode is the biology behind it. I'm Dr. Amy. This is a focused deep dive into one specific mechanism from our main episode, number 122, that was titled Shut Down Before Stress. And this was on the sequence of how to safely address trauma stored in the body. And you can come to that at biologyoftrauma.com/podcast and find episode 22. In this episode, we talked about oxidative stress and this idea that oxidative stress is a big component of the healing journey, addressing oxidative stress. I received a great question from Rachel on LinkedIn. She's a therapist in Texas. Rachel, you wrote, Dr. Amy, I work with trauma in my practice, and they all seem to have chronic fatigue or autoimmunity or some chronic illness. What is the biological mechanism of why trauma and illness seem to go hand in hand? My traditional training did not cover this connection, and I don't know what to do about it. Rachel, thank you for posting this, and I love getting your questions, so thank you. This is a great question because when we look at the connection between trauma and chronic illness, there is so much that we can do. In the full episode, 122, I mentioned that when our body goes into trauma biology and shuts down in overwhelm, the systems don't clean out the trash, the oxidative stress, and that's exactly what drives most of our chronic health. What we didn't have time to fully explain this mechanism in the full episode, I'll do that here so that you'll understand exactly how oxidative stress is part of the hidden link between chronic illness and trauma. Now, this comes straight from my book, The Biology of Trauma, which you can order. And as you will see, it's actionable biology that can change how you approach healing. Let me share what oxidative stress actually is. Think of your cells like tiny factories. When they make energy, they also make waste products, kind of like how a car engine produces exhaust. These waste products are called oxidative stress. Now, normally, our body has cleanup crew that comes through and removes this cellular trash. It's a beautiful system when it's working well. But here's what happens when our body goes into stress or shutdown, either one of those survival states. Yes, we have two survival states if you've listened to my other podcasts. Remember from our main episode how our body has that trauma response sequence steps. And when we hit the wall, we feel powerless, trapped, and alone. Our body goes into the trauma response, starting with the freeze and then the shutdown. Something critical happens at the cellular level. This is in chapter 5 in my book. The cleanup crew stops working. It's like if your garbage collectors went on strike, but you kept producing trash and putting the trash out. What would happen? The trash would pile up. And that's exactly what happens in our cells during chronic shutdown states where we haven't resolved the trauma. And so it's still stored in the body. The trash accumulates in the form of oxidative stress. Now, here's where it gets really interesting for your question, Rachel. This accumulated oxidative stress doesn't just sit there quietly. It's like rust that starts to through a machine. It damages our cell membranes. It makes them less efficient, less flexible. It damages our mitochondria, making them less efficient at making energy. It even damages our DNA. And this is where we see the cascade effect. And so let me share with you what managing the oxidative stress can look like. Because when we look at what we can do about it, we do need to understand this oxidative stress and the healing at the cellular level. Oxidative stress is the mechanism of a biology of trauma that silently damages our cells, leading to chronic health issues. Therapists and individuals need practical strategies to reduce this cellular burden or the accumulated trash and support the body's natural healing processes to even be able to come out of this chronic overwhelm. The impact, the cell membrane damage, the mitochondrial dysfunction, and even DNA breakdown. These are the aspects of the oxidative stress from a biology of trauma that need to be addressed even when someone is working on the emotional aspects of trauma. So here's the cascade effect of a biology of trauma. It damages the tissues even around the cells. So we call that the extracellular matrix. It starts to weaken. There's this whole scaffolding that holds our cells together that starts to crumble. It then affects our lymphatic flow and our blood circulation. And then the immune system is part of this imbalance and dysfunction where even autoimmunity can develop, where the body, the immune system is attacking our own tissues. And all of this is where a chronic health condition emerges. And it starts as symptoms. A lot of times that first symptom is fatigue, but the fatigue is just the downstream effect. And it's also a signal of more is to come. And so how do we look at this cascade and know what to do? The most profound thing about this is that the oxidative stress from childhood trauma can build silently for years before manifesting as disease. And that is why someone can have a traumatic childhood and not develop autoimmunity until their 30s, 40s, because the oxidative damage was building all along. Now, many people who have autoimmunity don't recognize that as a sign that their body's holding trauma because they don't recognize that they had trauma when they were young. And so these chronic health issues are a way to recognize, oh, I have a biology of trauma. So what can we actually do about this? Here are specific actions that you can take to reduce oxidative stress. First of all, we want to look at repair tools. We have lots of repair tools for oxidative stress. These include some of them: vitamin C, N-acetylcysteine, glutathione, selenium, magnesium glycinate. Let me go into some details on those. Vitamin C, I would start with 1,000 milligrams daily. I take a lot more than that. And if you even look at Linus Pauling, who was one of the heroes and leaders in this biochemistry at the cellular level space, he was taking 90,000 milligrams a day. So this is one of our most basic antioxidants that helps clean up that cellular trash. N-acetylcysteine, or often referred to as NAC, this is a powerful antioxidant because it stimulates the production of our glutathione. It even seems to have mechanisms outside of glutathione that help reduce oxidative stress in the brain. So depending on your unique biology, the dosage that will be helpful will be for you. I personally take 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams every day when I'm traveling. And on a regular day, I'm taking 2,000 milligrams. We can take glutathione. Think of glutathione as your body's cleanup crew. And it can be harder to take forms of glutathione that are actually reaching the cell. And so liposomal glutathione can be helpful. Selenium is what protects our mitochondria from oxidative damage. So this has been really helpful for me. Magnesium, particularly in its glycinate form, really helps replenish the mitochondria and your cells from the drainage and depletion that happens with this chronic and shutdown states. So taking the magnesium can ensure that it has the magnesium it needs to even do this cellular cleanup, since that takes energy and energy needs magnesium. So these are not just nice to have supplements. They are part of the core repair tools for an oxidative stress biology of trauma. What else can you do? Oh, you know what? I will include my specific protocol that I take for my oxidative stress, and I'll include that in the show notes for you. But let's look at sleep environment. Remember, our brain does cleanup while we are sleeping, and so our sleep environment is actually really important. Now, I intentionally am talking about sleep environment because sleep itself can sometimes be hard, but what we do have control over is our sleep environment. So sleep, complete darkness. Your body sleeps best with zero light. Light is a message to your body that it's time to be awake, it's time to be up. And it doesn't get that deep restorative repair of the oxidative stress that happens without light. I use blackout curtains. I remove all light sources. I also unplug the Wi-Fi. These are things that we can create an environment that helps the repair mechanisms. The repair also is done best in a cool temperature. Now, I keep my bedroom between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit at night, and this temperature optimizes the cellular repair. You can also consider mouth taping. This is what I do. Mouth taping ensures nasal breathing, which increases our nitric oxide levels. And so that also enhances the repair of our brain and body while we are sleeping. Finally, I want to share about that red light therapy that I do as well. Now, red light therapy is a way to help the mitochondria and clean up the oxidative damage. So red light therapy is part of my daily practice, actually. I do 20 minutes of stomach red light therapy in order to help my whole belly and digestive system. And then every once in a while, I'm going to get whole body red light therapy, as you can see in this picture, if you're watching this on YouTube. I do whole body red light therapy in order to get all of these benefits for helping to repair a biology of trauma. And speaking of which, Biology of Trauma book. If you order now, I am giving away over $400 worth in bonuses, specifically $464 in bonuses. And again, if you are watching this on YouTube, I have the QR code right there on your screen where you can go to purchase the book, whether you purchase that on Amazon or any other bookstore, and then you go and get your bonuses all on that one page. With that, remember that we went over the somatic stomach support exercise in our full episode number 122. Placing something over your stomach. Whether that's a pillow, a blanket, a shawl, it almost doesn't matter. This is not about comfort. This is about using our anatomy, knowing our anatomy, that it needs to feel protected, and that will help shift our body into a state of feeling safer. This is why when we are in the shutdown, we want to curl up into a fetal position to protect our stomach. And so I would encourage you to do this throughout the day, even when you're working. Just put something over your stomach, and then you can have your biology working for you in the background because it's in the repair state and not in one of the survival states. Remember that reducing oxidative stress is not just about adding antioxidants. It's also about helping your body come out of the shutdown states where cleanup can happen. It cannot happen when we are either in the stress state or the shutdown state. And so this is why we need to follow the essential sequence that is so important. And I do have the guide, the essential sequence guide, in the show notes to reference. Rachel, to directly answer your question, yes, there absolutely is a biological reason why trauma and chronic illness go hand in hand. And the answer is this oxidative stress. This seems to be the primary mechanism that translates emotional and psychological trauma and its persistent patterns and triggers into cellular damage and eventually symptoms, conditions, and then disease, and for many people, diagnoses. The key takeaway, we can't just talk our way out of oxidative stress. We can't just talk our way or think our way out of a biology of trauma. We need to apply the repair tools. We need to help our bodies come out of the survival states. And we do this partly through the specific cellular repair that is keeping it in overwhelm. It needs its natural healing mechanisms to be engaged, and that's how it seems to catch up. It's not about pushing ourselves harder or doing more. It's about creating the internal condition where our cells and our body feel safe enough and have enough for the healing journey. I'd love to hear your questions about this. LinkedIn is a great place to with questions. And remember, there are also resources in the show notes and a place on the show notes to leave your comments and questions, as well as the book pre-order link. You can order that book and also get those bonuses while it is still in the pre-order. Once the book publishes, those pre-order bonuses are going away. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Amy. And remember, your body knows how to heal when we give it what it needs. Until next episode, lots of love.